1688, the height of the British Empire, the age of industry, innovation, and progress. Sherlock Holmes territory, Jack the Ripper's hunting grounds, gaslit streets and cobblestone charm. But here's what they don't tell you in the costume dramas and period films. Victorian London wasn't one city. It was two completely separate realities existing side by side, separated by less than a mile, but worlds apart in every other way. On one side, Mayfair, Belgravia, Kensington. Mansions with marble staircases, servants' quarters bigger than most people's homes, and wealth beyond imagination. On the other side, Whitechapel, Bethnal Green, Southwark. Slums where families of 8 shared a single room, where children worked in factories from age 5, where life expectancy was literally half that of the wealthy neighborhoods just across town. This was a city where a lord could spend more on a single dinner than a factory worker earned in a year, where a duchess changed clothes 5 times a day while a seamstress wore the same rags for months, where one child learned Latin and piano while another picked through sewers for coins. So today we're doing something different. We're going to live 24 hours in Victorian London twice. First as a wealthy aristocrat in the West End, then as a factory worker in the East End slums. Same city, same day, 2 completely different realities. Before we begin, hit that like button if you're ready for the truth. Subscribe if you want history without the sugarcoating. And drop a comment telling me, which London do you think you would have ended up in? Because statistically, most of us would have been in the slums. Now dim the lights. Pour yourself some tea if you're feeling British. And let's step into the fog. Because London is waiting, and it has 2 very different stories to tell. Chapter 1. 2 mornings, the shocking wake-up. The wealthy morning. 6:30 a.m. You wake up in your bedroom in a Mayfair townhouse. Not because an alarm went off, but because your lady's maid has gently drawn back the heavy velvet curtains, allowing soft morning light to filter through lace sheers. Your bed is enormous, a 4-poster mahogany masterpiece with a feather mattress so soft it's like sleeping on a cloud. Egyptian cotton sheets, down pillows, a thick quilted coverlet. You've slept alone, of course. Your spouse has their own bedroom down the hall because sharing a bedroom is considered somewhat vulgar among the upper classes. The room is warm. A servant came in at 5 a.m. to stoke the fire in your bedroom fireplace without waking you. The Persian rugs under your feet are plush. The wallpaper is hand-printed silk. Original oil paintings hang on the walls. Your maid brings you morning tea on a silver tray, actual silver, not silver-plated, along with the morning newspaper, freshly pressed and delivered to your door. She's already drawn your bath in the attached private bathroom. Yes, you have indoor plumbing. Yes, you have hot running water. Yes, you are one of the lucky few. You sip your tea in bed, reading about politics and society gossip, while your maid lays out your clothes for the day. You have over 50 outfits to choose from. You will change clothes at least 3 times today. Morning dress, afternoon dress, evening dress. More if you're going out. Life is comfortable. Life is safe. Life is, frankly, easy. The poor morning. 6:30 a.m. You wake up because someone is coughing violently 3 feet from your head. It's your neighbor, or one of them. You're not entirely sure because 12 people share this room in a tenement building in Whitechapel. Your bed is a pile of rags in the corner. No mattress, no pillow, just whatever fabric you've managed to collect, laid over wooden boards. You slept in all your clothes because it's freezing and you only own one outfit anyway. The room is a single space, maybe 15 feet by 20 feet, with a ceiling so low you can touch it. There are no separate bedrooms, no privacy, just bodies packed together for warmth, and because the rent for this single room is still more than you can afford alone. The walls are damp with condensation and mold. The window, cracked and stuffed with newspaper, lets in cold air but no light because it faces a brick wall 3 feet away. The building is 5 stories tall, and you're on the 4th floor, which means you have to haul water up 4 flights of stairs from the courtyard pump. There's no fire. Coal costs money. Your hands are stiff with cold. Your breath makes clouds in the air. No one brings you tea. There is no tea. There is barely water, and what water exists in the communal courtyard is brown and smells like sewage because it probably is sewage. You can hear rats scratching in the walls. You can smell the overflowing privy in the courtyard below. You can hear bobbies crying, people arguing, someone retching in the stairwell. You're already awake because you have to be at the factory by 7 a.m. If you're late, you don't get paid. If you're too late, you get fired. There are 100 people who would take your job tomorrow. So you stand up, your back aching from sleeping on boards, your stomach hollow from yesterday's meager meal, and you prepare to face another day of survival. 2 mornings, same city, different universes. Chapter 2. GTTNG dressed, luxury V's survival. The wealthy. Your lady's maid helps you dress, which is good because Victorian fashion for the wealthy is basically a 2-person operation. First, the undergarments, a chemise, a long, loose cotton shift, then the corset. Your maid laces it tight, pulling the strings until your waist is compressed to an fashionably tiny circumference. It's uncomfortable, but you've worn one since you were a teenager. You're used to the restricted breathing. Next, the bustle, a wire or padded frame that ties around your waist to give your dress the fashionable silhouette. Then petticoats, at least 3 of them, layers of cotton and linen trimmed with lace. Finally, the dress itself. Today it's a morning dress, high-necked, long-sleeved, made of fine wool in a tasteful shade. It has dozens of buttons up the back, which is why you need a maid. You literally cannot dress yourself. Your maid arranges your hair, pinning it up in the latest style. She adds a small hat, pinned securely. You'll wear gloves whenever you leave the house. Bare hands are considered scandalous. The entire process takes over an hour. You own jewelry worth more than most people earn in a lifetime, but you won't wear the real pieces until evening. For morning, you wear simple gold earrings and a cameo brooch. You look in your full-length mirror, one of several in the house, and you look perfect. Respectable, elegant, wealthy. The poor. You're already dressed because you slept in your clothes. You own one outfit, a threadbare dress or shirt and trousers that have been patched so many times the patches have patches. The fabric is stiff with dirt and sweat because you can't afford to wash it more than once a month, if that. Soap costs money. Heating water costs money. Time costs money. No corset, no bustle, no petticoats. Those are for ladies. You're not a lady. You're a factory worker, and your dress is a simple cotton shift that hangs loose because you've lost weight. Again. Your shoes, if you own them, are falling apart. The soles have holes. Your feet are wrapped in rags for warmth. Many people in your building go barefoot because shoes are too expensive to replace. Your hair, you try to keep it tied back with a scrap of ribbon, but it's greasy and tangled. When was the last time you properly washed it? Weeks ago, maybe longer. No hat, no gloves, no jewelry. You own nothing beyond what you're wearing and maybe a spare rag or two. You splash cold water on your face from a cracked bowl, water you carried up 4 flights yesterday. That's your morning wash. That's all the grooming you have time for. The process takes 5 minutes. You look in the broken piece of mirror propped against the wall, the only mirror in the building, and you see someone who looks older than their years. Tired, hollow, hungry. 2 people getting dressed. One takes an hour with help. One takes 5 minutes alone. Both are considered ready for their day. Chapter 3. Breakfast Feast vs. Famine. The wealthy. You descend the curved staircase to the breakfast room, where the table is already set with fine china, crystal glasses, and polished silver cutlery. Breakfast is served by your footman. The spread is impressive. Eggs, poached or scrambled, prepared exactly how you like them. Bacon, sausages, black pudding. Grilled kippers or smoked salmon. Fresh toast with butter and orange marmalade. Porridge with cream and sugar. Fresh fruit, strawberries, even though it's expensive. Pastries from the best bakery in London. Tea or coffee, prepared perfectly. You eat as much or as little as you want. There's more food on this table than some families see in a month. What you don't eat will go to the servants or be thrown away. You read the Times while you eat. You discuss the day's plans with your spouse. You might complain that the eggs aren't quite right. The entire meal is leisurely. You have nowhere to be urgently. Your day is your own. The poor. Breakfast is a chunk of stale bread, if you're lucky. You bought it yesterday from a street seller. Day-old bread that's hard as a rock, but costs a penny instead of 2pence for fresh. You dip it in water to soften it enough to chew. If you have children, you give them most of it. They're growing, they need it. You can manage. Some days you have tea, the cheapest, most bitter tea imaginable, made from leaves that have already been used twice. You add a tiny bit of milk if you can afford it, but milk is expensive and spoils quickly. No eggs, no meat, no fruit, no sugar, no butter. If you're really desperate, you might drink sky blue. Milk so watered down it's practically translucent, sold by unscrupulous dealers who know poor people can't afford to be picky. Or you might drink nothing and eat nothing. Save the bread for lunch. Work on an empty stomach. You've done it before. The entire meal takes 5 minutes. You eat standing up or sitting on the edge of your sleeping space. Then you rush out the door because you cannot be late. Some mornings you don't eat at all. You simply don't have food. And you go to work anyway because what choice do you have? 2 breakfasts. One has more food than it needs. The other has barely enough to survive. Chapter 4. The STRETS. CARRAGS vs. Beggars. The wealthy. You step out of your townhouse onto a clean, well-maintained street in Mayfair. The sidewalk is swept daily. Gas lamps line the road, though they're not lit during the day. The buildings are elegant townhouses with pristine facades. Your private carriage is waiting. A gleaming black coach with your family crest painted on the door, pulled by two well-groomed horses. Your coachman, in full livery, opens the door and helps you inside. The interior is plush, velvet seats, curtains you can draw for privacy, a small lap blanket for warmth. You settle in, and the carriage rolls smoothly over the cobblestones. As you travel through the West End, you see other carriages, well-dressed pedestrians, shops with polished windows displaying expensive goods. Policemen patrol regularly. The streets are relatively quiet, clean, safe. You might travel to Hyde Park for a morning ride, or to Bond Street for shopping, or to visit a friend in Kensington. The city is your oyster. The poor. You step out of your tenement building into a narrow alley filled with garbage, human waste, and puddles of something you don't want to identify. The buildings loom over you, tall and crooked, blocking out most of the sunlight. The air smells like sewage, rotting food, and industrial smoke. The street is unpaved mud mixed with refuse. You walk, you have no carriage. You can't afford the omnibus. So you walk, sometimes miles, to get to the factory. As you navigate the East End, you see beggars on every corner, some missing limbs, some clearly dying. Children, barefoot and filthy, darting between people. Drunks passed out in doorways. Open sewers, running down the middle of the street. Dead animals left to rot. Pickpockets working the crowds. Street vendors shouting, selling wilted vegetables and mysterious meat pies. The crowd is thick, loud, desperate. Everyone is rushing somewhere, trying to survive another day. There are no police here. Not really. They patrol occasionally, but they don't protect people like you. You protect yourself or you become a victim. You keep your head down. You walk quickly. You clutch the penny in your pocket, today's lunch, and pray no one tries to steal it. The city is not your oyster. The city is trying to kill you. Two streets. One is a protected paradise. The other is a battlefield. Chapter 5. Work, leisure vs. labor. The wealthy. Work, what work? You don't have a job, not in any traditional sense. If you're a man, you might manage your estate, attend meetings at your club, or sit in parliament if you have a title. But this is less work and more dabbling in influence. If you're a woman, your work is social. Managing the household staff, planning dinner parties, making social calls, overseeing your children's education from a distance. The governess does the actual teaching. Today, perhaps you'll visit your tailor for a fitting, browse art galleries, attend a charity luncheon where you'll discuss helping the poor while eating food that costs more than they earn in a week. You might read, paint watercolors, play piano, practice French. These are accomplishments that make you cultured. Your afternoon might include a leisurely walk in the park, tea with friends, or a visit to your estate in the countryside to ensure the tenants are maintaining the property. You're home by late afternoon. You've never broken a sweat. Your hands are soft. Your body is unstrained. This is not work. This is the life of leisure that wealth affords. The poor. You arrive at the factory at 7 a.m. If you're 1 minute late, you're fined an hour's wages. If you're seriously late, you're beaten or fired. The factory is a massive brick building, dark and loud and dangerous. The moment you walk in, the noise assaults you, the clang of machinery, the hiss of steam, the shouts of foremen. Your job depends on your gender and age. If you're a man, you might work in a foundry, pouring molten metal, breathing toxic fumes, risking burns and explosions. Or in a dock, hauling cargo until your back breaks. Or in a coal yard, covered head to toe in black dust that never fully washes off. If you're a woman, you might work in a textile mill, standing for 14 hours straight operating machinery that can tear your fingers off if you're not careful. Or in a match factory, dipping matches in phosphorus that slowly rots your jaw, a condition called phossy jaw that literally makes your face decompose. Or in a laundry, scrubbing clothes in scalding water until your hands are raw and bleeding. If you're a child, and yes, children as young as 5 work here, you might be a scavenger, crawling under moving machinery to collect cotton scraps. Or a chimney sweep, climbing into hot, narrow chimneys where you can get stuck and suffocate. Or a mudlark, wading through the Thames at low tide, picking through sewage for anything sellable. There are no breaks except a brief lunch period. No safety equipment. No regulations. If you're injured, you're fired. If you die, your family gets nothing, and someone else takes your place tomorrow. The work is back-breaking, mind-numbing, and endless. You do the same task over and over and over until your body screams and your mind goes numb. You work for 12, 14, sometimes 16 hours, 6 days a week, sometimes 7. The pay, a few shillings a week if you're an adult, pennies if you're a child, barely enough to afford rent and food, never enough to save or escape. 2 definitions of work. One is optional leisure. The other is survival at the cost of your body and soul. Chapter 6. The air you breathe, clean vs toxic. The wealthy. The air in Mayfair is relatively clean. Yes, London has smog, the famous pea-souper fogs that give the city its atmospheric reputation. But the West End, with its wide streets, parks, and distance from factories, gets the better air. Your home has fireplaces that are properly vented. Your servants handle the coal, so you're never directly exposed to the dust. Your windows have proper seals. Your rooms are aired out daily. When the fog gets bad, you simply stay inside. You have thick curtains to keep it out. You have multiple rooms to retreat to. You can afford to burn clean coal. If you're concerned about your health, you might take a trip to the countryside. Your family probably owns an estate somewhere green and rural. You'll go there for fresh air, staying for weeks or months. You might contract tuberculosis or influenza. Victorian medicine can't prevent that, but your chances of survival are much higher. You can afford doctors, nutritious food, rest, and clean living conditions. The poor. The air in the East End is poison. The factories belch black smoke 24 hours a day. Coal fires burn in every building, but the chimneys are poorly maintained, so smoke fills the rooms. The streets are thick with fog mixed with industrial emissions, sulfur dioxide, coal dust, and God knows what else. You breathe this every day, all day, at work, at home, in the streets. Your lungs are constantly irritated. You cough, everyone coughs. It's called the London cough, and it's just accepted as normal. Black phlegm, shortness of breath, chest pain. Children develop respiratory diseases before they're 10. Adults have lungs that look like coal miners by the time they're 30. Your room has no ventilation. The windows don't seal properly. When you burn coal, if you can afford it, the smoke has nowhere to go, so you just breathe it. When the smog gets bad, it's dangerous. The great stink, the killer fogs, these aren't just atmospheric. People die, especially the old, the young, the already sick. And there's no escape. You can't afford to leave the city. You have nowhere else to go, so you just breathe the poison and hope you're strong enough to survive it. 2 sets of lungs. One breathes cleanish air with options. The other breathes toxins with no choice. Chapter 7. Lunch, fine dining vs. nothing. The wealthy. Luncheon is served in the dining room at precisely 1 p.m. Today's menu might include clear soup with fresh vegetables, cold roast beef or chicken, salmon with lemon butter sauce, fresh salad with hothouse tomatoes, cheese and biscuits, fruit compote, wine or lemonade. It's a light meal by your standards. Dinner will be much more elaborate, but it's still more food than most Londoners see in a day. You eat with silver utensils on fine china. Servants bring each course, clear each plate, refill your glass. The conversation is pleasant, gossip, plans for the evening, discussion of a recent scandal in society. After lunch, you might rest, or read, or have your portrait painted. The afternoon stretches ahead with endless possibilities. The poor. Lunch is the penny you've been clutching all morning. If you're lucky, the factory gives you 30 minutes. You rush outside to a street vendor selling meat pies of questionable origin, probably horse, possibly rat, boiled potatoes, eel pie, stale bread, pea soup, that's mostly water. You buy whatever fills your stomach cheapest. Today it's a potato and a chunk of bread. You eat standing in the street quickly because you have to be back in 15 minutes. Or maybe you don't eat. Maybe you save the penny for dinner. Maybe you give it to your child who's also working in another factory nearby. There's no rest, no pleasant conversation, just fuel to keep your body moving until the end of the shift. Your stomach hurts from hunger, your body aches from work, but you shove food down and get back to your station. Some days you steal a piece of fruit from a cart, scraps from a garbage bin behind a restaurant. You're not proud of it, but hunger is hunger. 2 lunches. One is an inconvenience if the soup is cold. The other is a daily crisis of survival. Chapter 8. Shopping and SLUMS, 2 worlds apart. The wealthy. This afternoon, you decide to go shopping. Your carriage takes you to Bond Street, Regent Street, or perhaps the Burlington Arcade, the finest shopping district in the world. The shops are magnificent. Huge glass windows display the latest fashions: silk dresses, tailored suits, leather gloves, feathered hats. Inside, the stores are warm, well lit, and staffed by obsequious clerks who fawn over your every whim. You might buy a new dress from Worth or another famous designer. Cost £50, more than a factory worker earns in a year. Gloves in 6 different colors. A hat trimmed with ostrich feathers. Books from Hatchard's. Tea from Fortnum and Mason. Jewelry from Garrard's. You don't carry money. You have accounts. Everything is delivered to your home. You never see a price tag that makes you hesitate. Other wealthy women browse alongside you. You exchange pleasantries. You discuss the latest styles. It's all very civilized, very pleasant. Outside, beggars keep their distance. The police make sure of that. This is not a place for the poor. The poor. You've never been to Bond Street. You'd be thrown out if you tried to enter. Your shopping happens in street markets. Petticoat Lane, Whitecapel Market, anywhere vendors sell second-hand goods, bruised vegetables, and things that fell off carts. You're looking for bread that's cheap enough, a potato that's not completely rotten, perhaps a used shirt because yours is literally falling apart, coal if you can afford a small bag. You haggle over every penny. Vendors try to cheat you. You try to stretch your money as far as possible. Everything is a calculation. Do I eat today or save for rent? Sometimes you shop by scavenging, following the carts from wealthy neighborhoods, waiting for something to fall, picking through garbage heaps, standing outside bakeries at closing time, hoping they'll give you stale bread instead of throwing it away. You see things for sale you can't even imagine owning. An orange costs more than you earn in a day. A new pair of shoes, you'd have to save for months. Around you, the market is chaos. Pickpockets, con artists, desperate people selling anything they can. This isn't shopping, it's survival economics. Two shopping experiences. One is leisurely luxury, the other is desperate necessity. Chapter 9. Entertainment Opera vs. Gin. The wealthy. Evening approaches, and with it, the promise of entertainment. Tonight, you're attending the opera at Covent Garden. It's a social event as much as a cultural one. You dress in your finest, an evening gown with a bustle, diamonds, white gloves that reach your elbows. Your carriage drops you at the entrance. Inside, the theater is magnificent. Red velvet seats, gilded boxes, crystal chandeliers. The wealthy fill the private boxes, seeing and being seen. The opera might be Mozart or Verdi. Honestly, the performance is secondary. You're here to socialize, to display your wealth, to solidify your position in society. During intermission, you sip champagne and gossip about who's wearing what, who's sitting with whom, who's having an affair. Other entertainment options for your class. The theater in the West End. Private dinner, parties with elaborate menus. Balls where you dance until 2 a.m. Gentlemen's clubs for the men, smoking, drinking, cards. Art exhibitions. Literary salons. You're never bored. There's always something to do, somewhere to be seen. The poor. After 14 hours in the factory, you're released. Your body aches. Your mind is numb. Entertainment. You have two options, sleep or gin. Many choose gin. The gin palaces of the East End are everywhere. Bright, warm, and offering temporary escape for a penny. You can get drunk for tuppence. You can forget your life for an hour. Inside, it's crowded, loud, desperate. Working men and women drink to numb the pain. Fights break out. People pass out on the floor. Prostitutes work the crowd. It's not recreation. It's self-medication. Or maybe you avoid the gin palace. Maybe you go to a penny gaff, a makeshift theater in a warehouse where you can watch crude melodramas performed by amateur actors. The shows are violent, sexual, and loud, but they're cheap, and they're something other than work and sleep. Street entertainment is free. Jugglers, musicians, puppeteers performing for pennies. You might watch for a few minutes before stumbling home. Some people find community, a neighbor's room where people gather to sing songs, a corner where men discuss politics and unions, small moments of human connection in a brutal world. But mostly, you're too tired. You go home, collapse on your pile of rags, and sleep until the factory bell rings again. 2 evenings. One sparkles with champagne and culture. The other drowns in gin and desperation. Chapter 10. Hygiene, BATHROMSVs BUCKTS. The wealthy. You return home from the opera around midnight. Before bed, you use your private bathroom, a luxury that only the wealthiest possess. Your bathroom has a porcelain bathtub with hot and cold running water, a water closet, flush toilet, connected to the sewer system, a sink with running water, mirrors, towels, soap, perfumes, tile floors that are cleaned daily by servants. You can bathe whenever you want. The servants heat the water, fill the tub, lay out fresh towels. You use expensive soaps scented with lavender or rose. You have a separate basin for washing your face. After bathing, you change into a clean nightgown, one of several you own. Your bedroom is warm. The sheets are fresh. Everything smells clean. Hygiene is easy when you have money, servants, and infrastructure. The poor. You return to the tenement around 9 p.m., exhausted. There is no bathroom. There is a single privy in the courtyard that serves all 50 residents of the building. It's a wooden shed with a hole that drops into a cesspit below. The smell is overwhelming. The hole is frequently blocked. Waste overflows onto the ground. You hold your breath and do what you need to do as quickly as possible. There's no toilet paper. You use whatever you can find: newspaper, rags, leaves. At night, people use chamber pots rather than brave the dark courtyard. In the morning, they dump them out the window into the street or into a shared bucket in the hallway. Bathing, that's a luxury you can rarely afford. Public bathhouses exist, penny baths where you can wash in a tub of lukewarm water that dozens of people have already used. You might go once a month if you can spare the penny. Otherwise, you wash with cold water in a shared bucket, face and hands only. Your body remains unwashed for weeks at a time. You own one set of clothes. They're filthy, but washing them means going to a public wash house, paying for soap and water, and spending hours scrubbing. You can't afford the time or money. So you just smell. Everyone smells. Body odor, unwashed clothes, the general stench of poverty. You stop noticing after a while. Lice are a constant companion. Bedbugs too. You scratch yourself raw, but they always come back. 2 hygiene experiences. One is effortless cleanliness. The other is accepting filth as a fact of life. Chapter 11. Dinner, extravagance vs. desperation. The wealthy. After the opera, you return home for a late supper, because you also had a full dinner before the opera, but now you're peckish again. A light supper is laid out in the dining room. Cold meats and cheeses, sandwiches with the crusts cut off, oysters on ice, champagne or brandy, small pastries and chocolates. You eat leisurely, discussing the evening's events with your spouse or guests. Servants stand by, ready to refill glasses or bring anything you desire. You've eaten more today than most Londoners eat in a week. You'll eat just as much tomorrow, and the day after, and every day for the rest of your comfortable life. When you're done, you leave the plates for the servants to clear. You retire to your bedroom, your stomach satisfied, your body comfortable. The poor. You return to the tenement with whatever food you could afford. Maybe a piece of bread, maybe nothing. If you have children, they're already asleep, their stomachs empty. You give them what little food you have. You tell them you've already eaten at work, a lie they probably know but are too hungry to question. Sometimes a neighbor shares, a bit of soup made from vegetable scraps. Sometimes you share what little you have. There's an unspoken code. We're all starving together. Your dinner might be tea made from reused leaves, third or fourth use. A pâté, a piece of stale bread. Nothing. You eat quickly, quietly. There's no conversation. Everyone is too tired, too hungry, too defeated. Sometimes you skip dinner entirely. Save the food for tomorrow. Go to bed hungry. You've done it before, you'll do it again. Children cry from hunger. You have no comfort to offer, no food to give. Just promises that tomorrow will be better, promises you don't believe yourself. 2 dinners. One is an indulgence after an indulgence. The other is a prayer that you'll wake up tomorrow.